Okay. Ready. Today, I have the pleasure of talking with Claire Quick. Claire is a mindset coach and business mentor who went from managing a $10 million corporate portfolio to building her coaching business from scratch. She gave herself 12 months to leave corporate for good, and she hit her first $5,000 month in just 6 months. Today, Claire helps women coaches and service providers sign one-to-one clients consistently through her magnetic authority method, which I can't wait to hear about. Claire, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Kiss. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
So, Claire, you're in the UK. I
Yes.
do have listeners from all over the world. I'm in the Northwest of the United States, so it's always fun to broaden my horizons and horizons of our listeners too. And so let's just dive right in. And I mentioned the magnetic authority, and I'd love to have you explain what that is and how we can use it.
Yeah. So let me explain where it come from, right? So I realized when I was building my business, there was this woman business coach on Instagram I used to absolutely worship. Out of everything she was putting out there, I bought every programs, every courses, every offer. I had every freebie. I was really into it. And it took me, I think, probably a year to realize that I kept buying the same stuff. She was selling the same stuff, just packaged differently. And I was like, I'm just buying the same stuff. Like, I'm not learning anything new. What is it about her that just makes me buy all the time? And I started studying her. I started studying how she showed up. And I started studying a little bit how all the business business owner I used to like showed up. And I realized they had two things. First, they had this in French, we say this je ne sais quoi. They had this little magnetism, this charisma that it just pulls you in. When she comes in, like the energy just pulls you in. And then she showed up with authority. So whatever she was saying, I was like, yeah, I'm in. What you convinced me, everything you're saying. So I realized, okay, we need charisma, we need the magnetism, and we need the authority. At the time, I only had the magnetism. So everybody was, oh, I know what you're doing. Oh, so inspiring. But I had no clients. Then I tried to go into the authority, but it just wasn't me because it was very cold. And really, by studying this woman, this business owner I really worship in a way, I realized you have to have both. So how do you make both? Because at the end of the day, business owners, we all market ourselves the same ways. There is not 100 million ways to market yourself, right? There's nine. So we all do the same stuff. But some people it sticks and some people it doesn't. And there where it comes, it is a magnetic authority. You have to have the authority. You have to be seen as the expert. You need to know what you're talking about and people need to see that. But you also need to have the energy that is going to be pulling people in. You're going to have this energy when people now when I come online, I receive messages every day being like, what are you on? I want it. Like your energy is contagious. What are you doing? And this is really how you create what I call this magnetic authority. And when I show up now, I get messages of people telling me, I want to work with you. How do I do it? Before I even sell, just because of the way I show up. So when you can embody this magnetism and the authority, I think this is when it become easier to sell your services and to sell yourself. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. How much social media do you do? Do you do quite a bit?
So I do, yeah, I do social media on Instagram mainly because I found the platform easier for me to use. So I wasn't on social media before I had my business. Never been on Instagram before I had my business. So
Oh
I
my
went
gosh,
on it
you're
and I
the
was like, what
one.
is it? And I was off Facebook. So I had Facebook like everybody else for a while, and then it just didn't like it, came off it. When I did my business, I was like, clearly an ad in the paper is not really going to cut it anymore. So I'm going to have to go on social media. And so, yeah, Instagram mainly. And I do a fair bit of what I called leverage other people audiences. So I think that you don't have to build on your own. And I also a little bit on LinkedIn.
A bit on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm dipping my toes in LinkedIn.
yes, well, that's good. LinkedIn has its positives and minuses. I'm on more active on LinkedIn, but I'm getting ready to share pretty much similar content across Instagram and Facebook.
Hmm.
So, how I feel like I understand what build from other people's audiences are, but can you explain that for somebody that might not be familiar?
Yeah. So when I started my business, I didn't really have an audience, right? I had 100 people following me on Instagram. That was it. But I had a coaching program I wanted to sell. So I told myself clearly I can sell it to these 100 people, but there was 100 people. A bit was my family, my friends, some random people on Instagram, and maybe a couple of ideal clients. So I started thinking, okay, where is my ideal client? And which room is she in? Who is she following? Can I collaborate? Can I put myself there? Can I open the door where they're already waiting in an audience that is already built? So I did that and I filled a new coaching program in 5 days. Which I was
Wow.
like, okay, there is power here. Clearly, you don't have to do it on your own. Then obviously I'll try to do it on my own. But in 2025, 4, 6, like the online space is crowded. And honestly, it feels very lonely if you only record your content on your own with your phone. And I'm a people's person. So I will always look at collaborating. So I do a lot of collaboration. I do a podcast collaboration, a podcast swap, visibility swaps, collab on Instagram Live or LinkedIn Live. We do swaps post or newsletter swaps or things like this. But really, the idea is instead of just creating your own audience, go and borrow it. And you can lend yours, you can borrow, and then we're all working and collaborating together. It's not about each of us doing our little corners. It's about, okay, can we do things? If you're online, obviously don't go and collaborate with anyone. But if you find someone you vibe with and you have the same values and you have the same audience, then go for it and create visibility partners and collaborators so then they can help push your services and you can help in return push theirs.
Well, that's a really smart way to do that. Did you say you do? I understand it for the other platforms, but on Instagram, do you collaborate with other people or is it a different model on Instagram that you
I do the
leverage
same. So I
collaborate?
do the same. So what I do, we do live when we do co-live. So we two people going live together on Instagram. We did it a couple of weeks ago when me and so a marketing expert I work with. So in my partner affiliate, we did a co-live on Instagram and LinkedIn at the same time. That was very techy. We were both live together on two different platforms. And I tried to, obviously, she's more active on LinkedIn. I'm more active on Instagram. So I introduced her to my audience on Instagram and she introduced me to her audience on LinkedIn. And then we
That's
had a conversation that can serve both of our audiences. You can do collaborative posts on Instagram as well. So it's all about, okay, how can we do it together? Instead of you do it and I do it, how can we do it together?
I like that, and that's something really powerful. I think a lot of women. Is your audience women, by the way,
Yeah.
or do you work?
Yeah.
Yeah, women. A lot of women are afraid to be on video. And I've been doing this podcast for over 2 years, and sometimes it's still hard. It's easier for me when I'm talking with someone. So you do co-lives. I think that's a really great idea because I'm totally different when I'm talking to someone else like you than if I just try to turn the camera on and talk. It's just very different. So I like that strategy. And how have those co-lives come across? Do you think that's one of your biggest, ways to draw at least the prospects in? Are
I think it
lives better than
depends.
other posts?
I think it depends what you're doing it for. So we were doing it for brand awareness. So, you have different collaboration for different purposes. So if you have a sale collaboration, it's different than a visibility collaboration. So I do put a bit of strategy behind it, and we do align on what we're going to do. I'm not really into just do things for the sake of doing things. Is really a bit strategic, but the collaboration and being on camera, it is part of what I call the magnetic authority method, right? So the magnetic authority method, one pillar of it is visibility. And in 2026, if you're not on camera, I would say don't even bother being on social media, quite bluntly, because video is being pushed. People remember what they see on video. They remember 90% of what they see on video compared to, I think it's 17% of what they read, right? Your energy come across when you're on video. It doesn't come across the same way when you have a headshot or if you just, write something. So you have to be on video. We are so used to seeing video content. People expect video content. They expect to see you talk. I work with service providers and coaches. People need to trust you, especially during what we call a trust crisis online. People need to trust you. So they need to hear you. They need to feel you. So video is really, really key, I think, in 2026. I would say something different 6 years ago. When I started my business, we were not on video. There was no point. In 2020, we did this 2019 and I started. You would post a picture and you get booked, right? You would post whatever, but the landscape has changed. So yeah, being on video is really, really key.
I totally agree with that. And even for salespeople who are, you're selling more of a service and coaching based customer, but even salespeople or business owners that are selling any kind of product or service, it's so powerful to maybe send a loom or get on video and link or whatever, be on social media. And people, I talk a lot about fear in the Uncopyable Sales framework,
Mhm.
and it's so true. Fear holds us back. So you're listening and you're thinking about doing this. I think that you're getting some great ideas and advice from Claire. And Claire, of course, does teach this magnetic authority, and we'll have links in the show notes as to exactly how to find out about that. So you come from the corporate world. I'm managing a $10 million portfolio, and you started this business on the side. So what was your motivation and where did you start?
So yeah, I started in 2019 and I started as a health and wellness coach. So I really wanted to, I basically woke up one morning at 4 a.m. with the idea of I'm going to build a business and help women live better lives. And at the time, I kind of retrained as a nutritionist because I was competing into sports. So I was really into nutrition and sports nutrition, all of that. So I naturally segue into nutrition and wellness coaching. So in 2019, the coaching world was not as big as now. So at the time, I was thinking, okay, we know what to eat. Why are we not doing it? Right? Why is it stopping us? So it was 4 a.m. And so I did some research and I came across coaching. And my husband woke up at 7 in the morning. And I was like, I'm going to become a coach. I'm going to train as a coach. That's my business plan. I'm going to do this. And my husband was like, can I have a coffee? Because you're being very intense for 7 in the morning. And I retrained as a coach. There was not many coaching qualification, but I retrained as a coach in the health and wellness space. And it kind of evolved. So I became focused on emotional eating. And then I realized we emotionally eat because we're unhappy, we're not fulfilled. So I did a bit more life coaching after that. And I really, really liked working with women who wanted to build businesses. So, they had an entrepreneurship mindset and wanting more for themselves. So this is why now I do what I did. But in the meantime, so I had my health and wellness coaching. I had my life coaching business. I started a wellness practice on the side as well. So I built businesses along the way so that I had this experience of building coaching businesses.
Mhm.
And I was, as I said, I say I was playing businesses because I was one foot in, one foot out. I was like, oh yeah, let's do it. But maybe no, I wasn't really, really sold. as many women in their 30s, I thought I'm going to have a kid, maybe two kids, and then I'm going to start, doing maternity and all of this. I have time. And for me, the motherhood journey wasn't an easy one. It didn't really work out. And in 2023, I had to face several miscarriages and IVF and failed IVF, and amongst a couple of other family deaths. So 2023 was very, very challenging. And at the end of 2023, I said, you know what, F it. The kids thing might never happen. So life is not guaranteed. And clearly, sometimes life is really not great. So I'm going to stop waiting. And this time next year, I'm leaving corporate. So this is when I went for my 12 month of rebuilding myself, because I was just finishing a very traumatic miscarriage, and then rebuilding my business and leaving corporate. At the time in corporate, I used to work in sales, because although I was playing businesses, I quickly realized that you need to know how to market and sell yourself. And I didn't. So when I was in corporate, I thought, I'm going to find myself a sales job. I'm going to learn sales. I'm going to learn marketing. So I found myself a sales job. I learned sales. I learned marketing. On day one, I was given a 10 million sales portfolio that I was in charge of. And yep, terrifying. I was like, there's too many zeros on this portfolio. And this
Throw
is
you
how
into
basically,
the water there.
yeah, but
It's
this is how I
the
learned
deep
sales.
end of the water.
Yeah, I learned sales and then marketing, which obviously helped me in my business. And then when I did my 12 months leave, that really helped. And when I left, a lot of the skills I learned in this job, that's what helped me get my first 5K month so quickly in 6 months.
I like that. So it sounds like to begin when it was still a side hustle, you did
Hmm.
reading and studying, and
Yeah.
you then you dove in to do it yourself, and then you of course have the ultimate credibility that you've done it. And
Yeah.
I take advantage of that too because I was a number one salesperson when I was back in the old days. Sold mufflers and catalytic converters. So exciting. But I became number one, and there were only a few women on the sales crew, so that's even more credibility, and now I've been in business for 30 years. So I think,
Hmm.
sometimes you'll run across speakers or teachers or coaches that haven't had that actual experience. So to me, that is a big advantage for you to say, "Okay, I did this." And for you, I mean, first of all, I'm sorry about your fertility issues. I know that's really tough. And I think admirable that you were able to shift gears and say, okay, maybe life isn't exactly what I thought it would be, but I can make it really, really good. And it's
Exactly.
just different. So yeah, I think that's great because it's a big issue. And you hit your 30s, like you said. Well, it used to be. I had my only child at 33, and it was a geriatric pregnancy. And
Yeah.
now people are getting pregnant really late in life, or late in life, later anyway, well
Later.
into their
Yeah.
40s. So let's see. So things started clicking. You're teaching this health and wellness, which you knew. I have also I had a blog at one time called Fairly Fit Female. And like you said, it's we all know what to do. And I had this group partly because it helped me be accountable. But
Hmm.
it's just one of the most interesting things that we all know what we should do. You could ask anybody what's a healthy diet. And a healthy diet is a cure for almost everything and
Hmm.
exercise. So yeah, it's a lot of motivating. But the thing about that, I suppose, is that there's not really an ROI, a monetary ROI, which what you're selling now, you get concrete results in dollars and pounds, right?
Yeah. But I would say in business as well, we know what we need to do. If you want to have a business, you have to be visible and you have to sell. Like literally, right? If you're not visible, you can be the best at what you do. No one's gonna know it apart from your husband and your family,
Mhm.
even them. So you need to be seen. You need to be visible, and you need to sell, because if you don't sell, You don't have customers, and then you don't have a business, you have a hobby, if I put it bluntly. So you need visibility, you need sales. If you want to know how to do it, spend 10 minutes on the internet and you can get a strategy. So the problem is never the strategy. The problem is that we just don't do it. We don't commit. We do it, but we don't really commit to it. We don't want to be seen. We don't want to be visible. We're afraid of being judged. It's always the same. Like, we know what we need to do. Show yourself, talk about your services, make offers, have conversation, make sales. We know the theory. We know that no business is failing because of strategy. Because if your strategy doesn't work in 60 days, you just switch it. You just change something. It's easy. The problem is never the strategy. The problem is the mindset behind it. It's the fear behind it. It's the identity you're operating at. That is what makes business fail. Especially, I would say, in coaching, because a lot of women are great at coaching, but they just don't want to be seen. They just don't want. I was talking to a lot of coaches this week who are telling me, "Oh, I'm creating a digital offer." Like, great. A £20, I don't know, maybe $19, a $15 offer. And I'm thinking, you have 100 followers, you have a $15 offer, and you want to make a living? The math don't, that don't math. The math aren't adding up. And that is because, yeah, but it's easier because otherwise I have to price, I have to sell something. There's going to be a few thousand. That's very scary. And I have to operate at a different level. I have to show up. I have to do all of this. So we tend to hide and we tend to do what is easy. But what is easy is giving you the result you have now. And if you want bigger results, which a lot of women and coaches want, you're going to have to shift something, to shift gear, and to operate at a bigger level. And we know that, but we're not ready to hear it. We're not ready to embody it, and we're really not ready to live it.
I do like one thing you pointed out. And as you said, people for the most part know what they need to do, but I am
Mhm.
finding business owners, sales is just a dirty word and they don't think that they have to sell. Their salespeople are selling, or even if they don't. So selling, you said everybody has to sell. And that's totally true. Otherwise, as you said, they'll have a hobby. So that's really important. So do you
Yeah.
have, go ahead.
Yeah, I think people don't want to sell. And when I told one of my clients last week, I told her, okay, are you going to buy your own thing? Are you going to buy your own coaching program? Because if you're not going to buy it, then you're going to have to sell it to someone. And I think it's how we think about sell. I heard my client at the beginning tell me about have to convince them. So no, you don't have to convince anyone. You don't have to force anyone. Your job is to show up, is to embody your work, is to show the transformation, and is to invite people on the journey. You're not forcing anyone. And I think something that is missing a lot when we talk about coaches or service providers selling the services is what you, a salesperson from the old days in corporate, so you know that we do need analysis. Do they even need your product? Do they need your service? Or are we just trying to force it on any stranger that we talk to? It's
Right.
about
And
positioning a product.
we talked before we started recording about how we call your ideal prospect your moose. And it really is strategic. And it's finding the people that will value or businesses that will value what you offer, that you believe you can help. So that's the
Hmm.
other thing that people aren't as strategic as you and really finding, narrowing your messages that will attract the right client. So
Yeah.
that's a very good point. So, do you want to tell us a little bit in our last few minutes about what your program is and why people should contact you if they are in the position that you of the audience you serve?
Sure. So my program, it's a 9-month program, and it's a program that really takes you from hesitating, hiding, not being sure, not being clear, not daring doing it, but wanting this expansion to actually living this business and living a business that is aligned and profitable. Because it's not about just making money in a way that is burnout, and it's not about enjoying our business and not making any money, right? We need to have both. It is based on what I call the magnetic authority method, which is there's four pillars. You have the mindset piece, because mindset is 80% of your business. Mindset is going to dictate how you are showing up, the conversation you're having, the energy you're going to show up, your resilience, your confidence, and the confidence of people who are going to receive you. There is a piece on energetics. Okay. Business is around your energy, is around your intuition, especially as a woman. It's about stepping into abundance, into this next level. It's about expanding the possibilities that are there for you and seizing them and going for them. So that is what I like to call the woo piece. The woo piece is the mindset and the analytics. Then we have the work piece that is a visibility and sales. As I said, you have to be visible. If no one knows you, then you can't have a business. You have to be visible in a way that feels like you. We're not all doing the same stuff, but we all need to be visible. And then the sales piece, it's not about icky sales or bro marketing sales. It's about understanding sales psychology. What makes people say yes? There is psychology behind buyers' behavior and clients' behavior. So we need to learn that. And if you're a coach and a passion-led, heart-led business, you quite very likely never been told that. I was told that because I was in corporate sales and I was taught sales. So it's not about just putting stuff out and hoping it sticks or forcing stuff. It's about understanding how you position yourself and how you message yourself. So we work on these four pillars. And when you start to embody all of this and your visibility gets bigger, then you don't overthink, you don't hesitate, you know how to position yourself, you know how to speak in a way that will activate the right people. Because we don't need 10,000 millions followers, we need a few clients. Okay. So that's what we work on for 9 months. And I have a quiz to help you identify which of these three pillars is stopping you from signing clients. Because it's going to be one of these four. So I'm sure you said you're going to put the link, but there is a
I am.
phrase.
You want to say it though, too? It's clairequickcoaching.co.uk. Is that
Yeah.
the right link?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, and Claire has an E on the end, which I think is the normal spelling. Just one last question, and we are really
Yeah.
from the end, but is it one-on-one coaching or is it group?
It's one on one.
One-on-one. Okay.
It's
That's
one on
nice. And
one
you can
because
really,
of the depth we go to in all these areas, and because it's specific to every business as well.
I asked you to please provide some actionable items and some real clear, crystal clear things that people can do, whether or not they work with you. And I really like the way that you said visibility. I think that's number one, partly because people are so afraid of it and it has to be video. Leveraging other people's audiences, that's brilliant. And also, you can be visible, but if you're not selling something, it doesn't matter. Or if
Yep.
you're really good at selling something, you have to be visible. And then there's the energy and the other things. But I really appreciate how you spelled it out like that so that people in the audience can really ponder that and take action if they want. And they should. You should. Listening, you should. So, Claire, I really appreciate you being on the podcast. You're right. I will put all these links in the show notes. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Kate. It was a pleasure. Thanks.
Okay. Well, that went pretty well.